Hey, what's up? It's your girl Lauren Sizzle, and you are tuned into one of the hottest talk shows in the nation. We Talk Weekly with celebrity stylist Charles Gregory, classy lady Sparkle, and yours truly, Lauren Sizzle. Download the TuneIn Radio app and tune into our live broadcast every Saturday at 8 p.m. on WPPM 106.5 FM on TuneIn Radio. You want to binge listen to our podcast? We Talk Weekly's podcast is available on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and TuneIn Radio Podcasts. Subscribe to our We Talk Weekly YouTube channel to check out all of our amazing shows, our interviews, and event coverage. Follow We Talk Weekly on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and subscribe to our newsletter on our website, wetalkweekly.com. And most importantly, keep it locked.
Yeah, make sure you keep it locked. We ready. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
And the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
And we are here today. We Talk Weekly, WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk. And yeah, we got a good show for you today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I want to make sure I had these levels because I think someone said the levels was too low one time, and then someone said the levels was way too hot. It's hard looking at this board and seeing where these levels is going. We need a new board here. Yeah, we got to make sure that we do some things. And so, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, what time is it? 8. Let's see. Miss Cash should be coming on by 8:30. So why don't y'all tell me how was your day real quick, and then classy lady jump right into good news and bad news for me, huh? So I'll start with you. Sizzle, how was your day?
My day was cool. I was watching some flicks with my grandma, and shout out to my mom. She
Shout
made
out to
some
grandma.
pancakes. My mom makes these special pancakes, and she likes to put this. I don't know if you ever had it before, but it's like, and this is no pitch for them, and we're not being paid for this or anything.
Lies.
Maybe we need to reach out to them.
Yes.
But Kodak, they make like this little like fruit.
Kodak?
It's like it's spelled Kodiak, something like that, and it has like a little bear or something. I can't remember what their logo is, but they
Kodiak?
make like
Kodiak?
something like that.
yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, I think that's a bear. It might be Kodiak.
Could be. It could
Go
be.
ahead. Yeah.
But she makes these pancakes, and they're delicious. She throws her own little blueberries and pecans in it. So
You could have brought some in a day. You talking about it.
Yeah,
for sure.
You don't have to go to Waffle House because go to Mom's
Yeah,
house.
shout out to Mom Dukes.
She made those, and I was just
Linda.
chilling
Miss Linda.
until this tornado came through.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, no doubt. Shout out to Mom Dukes. Always love the moms. Come on, class lady, holla.
I think Sizzle ended it with the tornado. Like, that set everybody off. I was enjoying the warm weather. First it was dreary, then it got, with the warmer weather, and then I was like, yo, what the heck? I mean, like, it was, outside of that, it was, a day is a day, it's Saturday.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. How about you, C?
Long day.
Your anniversary.
Yeah.
It's tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay positive. It's all good. No
Right.
doubt.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
for
right.
sure.
And Ramadan?
Ramadan, yeah, I just had to break real quick right before the show. The good thing, interesting enough, Ramadan fell or is within the month of my birthday, so that's the blessing. So I like that. I like that part of it,
Right.
But yeah, it's a long day, and when you moving around and going through your trials and tribulations, it get a little rough for you if you ain't eating, but it's good.
What Tupac say? You got to keep your head up.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Tupac. No doubt,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, gotta keep your head up.
I bet you Jada Smith know the whole thing.
Ooh, Lord.
I ain't even gonna go there with it, but go ahead, classy lady. What we got?
Yo. He left out the Pinkett, though. I'm used to saying Jada Pinkett Smith. I'm like, who Jada Smith? But, yeah. She would have been Jada Shakur, right?
Yeah.
That's what she wanted
Oh
to be.
gosh, yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to her.
All right.
Shout out to her, yeah, for sure.
Right. So what we doing? Like, you got to be like, you know,
All
you
right,
got to
well,
check the ball to me.
All right, well there you go. Why don't you give it to me early? All right.
All right, so this story is about a nurse who dies performing surgery on herself. So
Oh,
in the
gosh.
world of snatched bodies and BBLs, a 30-year-old nurse was found dead at a clinic after allegedly performing liposuction on her abdomen in a clinic in Mexico. The woman is being identified as Karina. It's reported that Karina gave herself anesthesia prior to the
gosh.
surgery and was found unconscious in the clinic and died of cardiorespiratory arrest.
Makes no sense.
Because anesthesia does what to you?
That's what I'm saying. How can you
And
perform a procedure on yourself under the influence?
Like
so to speak.
you're putting yourself under.
Your brain, the
no
brain
sense.
receptors turn off. Like
Yeah.
you can't
she
even.
was she was too smart.
Right. It's also
For herself.
reported that Karina had no training in administering the anesthesia. So that's what killed her. It wasn't the actual procedure of the liposuction. It was the cardiorespiratory arrest she went under by administering her own anesthesia.
That's crazy. Yeah.
All
It's
for
people
the
they get.
BBLs.
It's just the term is anesthesiologist. It's people who literally go to college, get a degree to understand what it takes to put someone under.
But she was also a nurse. I'm not sure. You know, there's levels: RN, BSN,
Still
CNA.
Then that's even more.
Exactly.
That
worse,
she
'cause
should
she
have
shoulda
been.
known
Yes,
better.
that's what I
Right,
mean. I don't know what
exactly.
level of nurse, but
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
she definitely.
A brain surgeon can't do what a foot doctor does.
Right.
What ear, nose, throat doctor can't do what what is the back doctors, the people who handle like your spine, right? And it's people who perfect certain levels of specialties in order to perform their duties, which is the reason why you specialize in this one thing and get a degree in that one thing, unless you go back and get another degree in another thing, you know. Yeah, sure.
It's just, I don't know, just to put yourself under anesthesia, knowing as a nurse that
That's
that
crazy.
is going to not make you conscious, then I don't know. She should have, if anything, went under with local anesthesia to the local site. I don't know, but that right there to administer it for
It
you.
doesn't even make
Yeah.
sense to me.
All right, the next one, a lot of us have been hearing about the Nashville school shooting. The nation was under sadness related to another school shooting. Many of you may have heard about the deadly school shooting in Nashville, Tennessee that killed 6 people, 3 9-year-old children and 3 adults. Audrey Hale, a transgender woman who used the pronouns he and him, according to authorities, was a former student of the school. The FBI is investigating the case to determine if the school was targeted for religious reasons or if the head of the school official was the target, because the school is also a church. Reports show that Hale had legally purchased 7 firearms from 5 local stores. 3 of those weapons, including 2 assault-style firearms, were used in the shooting. The FBI is also determining if this is a hate crime. That's a lot of layers to this.
It really is. Yeah.
A lot of layers. I didn't mention that the shooter was 28 years old and was a previous student. So you want to know what probably happened to this student to return back, or to this adult who returned back to the school that they once attended.
Hold on, kids got killed though, right?
Right. So there was the person who did the killing, the murderer,
Right,
28 years old,
right.
was once a student at this school. Now, if
Understood.
you think about 28, you go, formal education,
Right.
you're going back. So you're going back about 10 years. Let's just give it 10
Right.
or 15 years. You went back to this school and murdered the head of the school. I don't know if that person was still the head of school when this person was there, but the head of the school and the child of the head of the school.
Oh, that
Was
a
also
target.
murdered.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was how many people were murdered?
6.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
6 or 7. Also, I think throughout
Such a
this
shame.
story that they're saying that the the murderer was also under psychological care.
I
So
don't
there
care,
was a
man.
lot of mental health issues that they spoke about. Now, that was the journalist, the facts of what the story is.
I got you, I
Here
got you.
is my
Thank you for doing
opinionated
that, because I
facts.
was about to tear a new one.
Right.
Because that comes. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
go
you're-
ahead.
no,
I'm
no,
gonna let you do.
no.
I want you to do your story. It's fine.
Well, no, I'm done. That was it. I'm just saying,
I
like,
want you to get your perspective, though. You said
well,
that-
there's a lot of layers to this. You know, again, they are. Bless you.
Bless you.
They're saying that this is. They're investigating to see if it's a hate crime, but the person who did the killing, that they said is transgender, a transgender woman, however, goes by the pronouns he and him. Like, so even that, when they're describing things in the media, it just feels so racially biased on so many levels. And I'm also talking minority bias, like LGBTQ. We know that that's a minority group as well.
Right.
However, honestly, out of any minority group that you can name, Black people, I still are like at the bottom. And it's almost like, well, this doesn't have anything to do with like Black on Black crime, but when you do the comparisons, it's so different.
Yeah.
It's starkly different, and it's just, yeah.
I could care less about the mental health. I could care less about it.
That's
She what how do they
He and him,
he-
but him is transgender.
Okay, because I want to
Which is-
respect the pronouns, because it's people who watching that, really feels passionate about their pronouns. So I want to respect that part of it. But I could care less about him when babies are involved. You're not that mentally unstable if you're able to understand going to 7 different places and purchasing firearms, knowing that you can only purchase one firearm at one place at one time. So you go to 7 different places. You wasn't deranged then,
right.
but you knew enough to come. Because I believe Sizzle posted the story. If you want to see the story, you can go to our
The
IG.
video is on there.
It's on IG
But,
and our Facebook.
viewer discretion.
Yeah, viewer discretion is advised. But first
The
thing,
body cam video.
body cam video from the police. But there is video of the entrance of him going into the school.
Yeah.
He shot out the front door. Right? So he already had a premeditated agenda. So you can't tell me that, okay, he was a little, psychotic or had a psychotic episode. So let's give him some leniency, because that wouldn't happen. Mental health would not come up if he was Black. Period. So let's keep it real. Like, let's keep it a bean when it comes to a lot of the coverage. That's why when it comes to mainstream media, I have a problem with it, because they're smart enough to understand optics and how certain words can intimidate and or persuade their audience. And when you say certain things, even if you want to use "if it bleeds, it leads," at this point, they use "if it bleeds and a Black, it leads."
Yeah.
Because we talked about prior that, okay, well, if a young man, a little boy, kills somebody, he can be 14, 15. He is described, a Black guy,
man.
as a man.
Not a boy.
Anyone else who don't look like us can be 13, 12. Then they're, a young boy, a little boy with mental health issues, because that somehow give it a little, desensitize the issue a little bit. So that's the problem that I have.
Right. Yep.
Absolutely.
That's the problem that I have, and we got to do better, because they know better, and that's what We Talk Weekly is about. I hate to get on my soapbox, but that's what We Talk Weekly is about, and I don't care. I don't care how you feel about it. It's important for us to be fair and be unbiased when we are giving factual information, but not only about the situation, but also about the coverage that's happening around it. And we can be factual about that. And the facts has been that certain coverage points a finger, makes certain demographic as a predator and certain demographics as a victim. Right. And when you continue to paint a picture of a certain demographic as a predator, then that intimidates and scares another demographic. Not only one demographic, but literally the world. Because westernized, if people from, because I'm on a phone, I'm on these discords, and I'm talking to a lot of people from out that's not part of the West. That's not in westernized culture. And everyone on there literally thinks that every black person does something in entertainment. That's nuts. Right. I mean, it could be a good thing because I guess the expectation is you in entertainment, you're making money, right? So I guess whatever. But I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying stereotypically, that's what they think about black folks in the West. And then they think about the women, the black women, as argumentative, feisty, don't want to concede.
That's the women. Now the girls,
yeah,
we've been sexualized.
Young black 100%. Yeah, 100%. So I don't want to get on my soapbox, which I kind of did, but just saying that we have to be more cognizant how we're covering certain things, especially if you're falling under the guise of media.
Yeah, I think it's important that we point out those, those differences, especially when it comes to us being independent black media and our counterparts being the mainstream media. We have to, unfortunately, they say they tell both sides of the stories, but, are both sides of those stories 100% accurate?
Agreed. All right, well, this next story, this story is making history. So for the first...
wait, hold on 1 second, Sport.
Yes.
Go ahead, say that again.
This story is going to make history. Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
Okay. All right. His story. For the first time in American history, a former president of the United States has been indicted on criminal charges. For those who may not know what indicted means, it means a person is formally being charged with a felony by a grand jury, and presidents have been impeached but not indicted. According to CNN, Donald Trump faces more than 30 counts related to business fraud. The Manhattan District Attorney Office has been investigating the former president in connection with his alleged role in a hush money payment scheme and covering up involving adult film star Stormy Daniels that dates back to 2016 presidential election. Trump realized a statement in response to the indictment claiming it was political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history. This is what Trump is quoting. He goes on to say, "I believe this is a witch hunt, which will backfire massively on Joe Biden." He said the American people realize exactly what the radical left Democrats are doing here. Everyone can see it. So our movement and our party, united and strong. We'll first defeat Alvin Bragg, and then we will defeat Joe Biden. And we are going to throw every last one of these crooked Democrats out of office so we can make America great again. End quote. Trump is expected to appear in court next week.
Okay.
He ready though.
He ready.
And he has backup.
Yeah.
We seen it.
Unapologetic backup.
He has backup. All this rhetoric that he says, it's like, okay, well, he's just talking, but we see that there's a huge following that feels his sentiments.
Yeah.
And now this is a question I don't know. Can a president or can a person run for president as a presidential candidate with an indictment?
With indictment, I don't.
And impeached, I think they can because that's different. But an indictment,
Yeah.
I think with the indictment they can, but if they are found guilty, they
yeah.
cannot.
Yeah.
So the
Exactly.
indictment is still not a proven of guilt. It's just that, it means a
Yeah.
person is formally
coming
being
after you.
So
Yeah.
if you're being formally charged, and that's on you. See, and I don't know. I kind of feel
Well,
like
it's guilty until proven, right? So
Right.
those are the charges that they have him up on. So he has to go in front of a court of law to be proven and
Right.
found guilty.
I also think that because they knew that he was running for president again, that they had to do something.
Yeah, for sure.
Because 2016 is
Yeah.
7 years ago.
Because he might beat all of that. I mean,
And it's possible.
yeah, it's possible that he'll beat all of that. And if he beat all of it, the crazy thing is that might, put a battery in his followers back to support him. And so that's a scary position also, right? And so that's something that we potentially have to, because he has a lot of supporters.
He
And
does.
He has tons of supporters, yeah, for sure.
I mean, well, if I don't know, he's the other thing is that on the crew that brought him down, wasn't there a black man in there? One of the
I'm not
legal
sure.
team, I believe it was.
Oh yeah, the I believe he's the prosecutor. He's been
think
getting
so.
Yeah.
death threats, unfortunately,
Has
for doing
he?
his job, and that's just sickening.
Well,
to
like
be
we said,
honest, yeah.
Shout out to my IG, and she was like, I know the ancestors is just having a party up there.
Ooh, child. It's scary actually, because I happened to be in Center City last night, picking up some food, and I was crossing the street to go to the pizza store, and then I see like literally four huge counterterrorism police trucks
Wow.
riding down the street and then going to City Hall.
So hold on, they was marked? It said that?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So
Counterterrorism.
yes. So, I didn't see anything come about that, but that's still scary here in our city. And then they're talking about how Pennsylvania is so divided politically because a lot of Pennsylvanians support him. Look at the ones that was at the riots,
Right.
Capitol riots.
Wow.
No doubt.
Yeah. Well, that was your good news and your bad news from your girl, Classy Lady Sparkle.
Good news and bad news from Classy Lady Sparkle. I don't want you guys to go anywhere. This is We Talk Weekly After the Talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and beautiful.
Lauren
And the
Sizzle.
beautiful.
Classy Lady Sparkle.
And when we come back, we have an interview with someone with whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for. This young lady has been very busy in cleaning up the community, very busy in leadership positions, very busy in just not only cleaning up the community, but really doing the due diligence to support and protect, right? And I love to talk to people who has been truly doing work. And so when we have the candidates up here, and we'll ask her a few questions about the candidates and, who her thoughts on who should actually lead, who should be in this leadership position on the next mayor of Philadelphia. But when we come back, I want you to stay tuned. And we got someone that I think you guys are going to love. We had her here before, but we had to bring her back again. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back after this, y'all.
What's going on, you guys? This is Bridget Kelly, and you are locked into We Talk Weekly.
And we're back. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk with WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful,
Lauren Sizzle.
Classy Lady Sparkle.
and the beautiful.
Lady Esther.
And she's back in the building, man. So without further ado, Classy Lady Sparkle, who do we have today?
Oh, today we have the beautiful Cassandra Green, also known as Miss Cass.
Miss Cass.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a community activist, organizer, engagement specialist, cultural producer, and social practitioner with extensive experience in nonprofit business administration, project management, arts education, fundraising, creative placekeeping, all these beautiful things, asset-based capacity building and
everything.
succession build planning. She's worked in so many different Fortune 500s. And like I said, the biggest one is the community activist organizer, because that is what helps the community.
right.
So y'all know what to do. Give a warm We Talk Weekly welcome to Miss Cass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome. How are you?
Hey, hi everybody. Good evening.
Fantastic. How you feeling today? How you dealing with the weather?
I was doing good earlier. I was out. The sun was shining. I was at events that thought they were going to get rained out, but happened anyway. And I was about to come see y'all in
Yeah,
person,
for
but
sure.
next time I hope.
Yeah, for
But I'm
sure.
at home and talking to y'all, so I'm good.
Yeah. Thanks for doing that. Before we get deep into the discussion, I literally want to know what keeps you empowered and keeps you going, because you do so much, right? And so sometimes I wonder, like, do you ever get tired? And how, what empowered you and encouraged you to keep on keeping on,
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, I guess the love. Well, first and foremost, right? My faith, right?
Yeah, sure.
I'm a believer in my faith, and understanding that everything I do and I'm able to experience and pass along or give and get is all a gift. So I operate from that perspective of it's all gifting, and I am so appreciative and grateful for it. So my faith first, and then I love my people. I love my community, and I love. I sound corny, right? But I'm living my best life.
Yes, yes.
I give you a round of applause for that one right there. No, for sure.
So tell us a little bit about what you have coming up.
Well, I have some things. I'm making some decisions, right? Thinking about like, how best. I'm always thinking about capacity and succession, like it kind of says in my bio. So what I have coming up is kind of trying to think about how everything is kind of aligning right now and where I can best use the capacity that I have, the alliances I have, my talents, and things that have been pulled together, but now you know how you use a Rubik's cube and you kind of sync it up. That's my next thing, is syncing up to where we all collectively need to have power and where I personally can insert and gain and appreciate our power. So that's kind of like where I'm at. I hope I answered your question all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Ms. Cass, you spoke about community activists, and I've already seen how you are in these streets. You definitely are, you know how they say, the mother to the motherless and the auntie to the ones who don't have it, and the big sister and all of that. We have our 100th mayoral candidates coming up, and we know that Philadelphia, especially people that are natives here, knows that community is what specifically in the Black communities is what we need. Tell us more about what you think Philadelphia needs specifically, and what is it that we're going to be looking for from a mayor that can get us back on track for that?
Well, I've been to a couple of forums so far, and definitely appreciate everybody's involvement in that space, because it's not easy. That's like grind work. So anybody that gets out there for this particular position, It's not only a grind to get in, but it's going to be a grind. If whoever gets in, it's going to be a grind. So, just hoping that folks kind of like, the folks who want to have this position and the one who may get it understand that, it's a lot going on, and, really they have to be really strategic. It's nice to have words, but thinking about the strategy they're going to use to make sure that the people voice is heard. Because I know that we try a lot of things based on people who aren't being directly affected by specific issues. So having those people be in places that their voices are not even just heard, but they also will power and change, and innovation. So, and that person got to really know that they're going to have to lean in to the problem, right? Not around it, not up it, not under it. You're going to have to lean into these issues that, we are involved in right now, but also they're going to have to lean into the possibilities of what, what going through things can bring out sometimes. They say a tree comes from a seed and a fire, right? So the seed in the forest. Somebody tell me this story. I know who it was exactly. Jennifer from Spiral Q says that the seed got to go under the ground, and then when it's a forest fire, that actually ignites the pine cone to grow. And so sometimes even in adversity and turmoil, something positive and powerful can come out of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, the LimFest Institute for Journalism, they released an article with a poll and polling Philadelphians, and I believe it was 63% of Philadelphians said that they believe that the city is on the wrong track. And they also uh, do not trust, their local politicians. So how you've been able to develop relationships, strong relationships with the Black community specifically. How is it that, our leadership in the city of Philadelphia can kind of, gain the trust of Philadelphians and, try to get Philadelphia back on the right track?
I mean, I think the expectation from, are you talking about Philadelphia as a whole, or are you talking about a certain demographic, or?
Well, the poll I believe was Philadelphia as a whole, but let's just speak, I guess, specifically for marginalized communities, especially the Black community.
Yes. So, to build trust, you have to bring your authentic self, right? And also people, it's interesting. Like, I think people have heard so much, promises, what people going to do. People, the community and people in the city are really, really smart. So, like, for an example, like the asbestos in the school, right? Like, the gentleman that just took over said, oh my gosh, like, this was cited 2 years ago that it was a problem, nothing never happened. But it's people in the city that know that we knew that it was asbestos, and the condition of the school for the last 20, 25, 30 years. So, like, people tried to act like it was a 2-year problem, and it's been a consistent decade problem. So I think whoever, people have to acknowledge the fact to build trust is, first of all, you have to do, like, and I talk to people in community about this, there has to be some reconciliation where people have to say, you know what, we messed up, right? We messed up, but we willing to do the work to get it right and to recover. And then after we recover, we want to definitely make sure that we have a plan to move forward, right? For prosperity and providence. So just really making sure that it's not just a one-off thing, one person, one entity thing. It's all hands on deck for this.
Absolutely.
Miss Cass, what made you get into just community activist? Like usually it starts out when you're a kid sometimes, and I know my grandmother used to, when she cooked dinner, it was Mr. Burt down the street, it was Miss Biddy across the street. Go take them a plate. It was just that love that I saw growing up, which has always been a part of me. Is there something that like you knew like that sparked you to say, "Hey, I just want to help"?
I mean, so I when I had my children, right? Um, when they was little, like I wanted my house to be the kid house, and that was probably selfish because I wanted like to know where my kids was. That's my kids came in when cell phones was too expensive for folks to have. So I wanted to know where my children were. So I had a kid house, but then actually my community development engagement, real activism got spurned out of this ministry. It was called the church. It's called the Church Down the Way Ministry, and it's a non-denominational ministry. It had a dynamic pastor. His name was Curtis Wallington, and he was all about making sure people had access to hope. And I worked in a university, but I wasn't really out there. And I remember the first day he took me out to do door-to-door outreach. I was like, I'll do the back end stuff. I'm not trying to be out there in the front on the street. And after time, hearing the word and getting built up and just inspired by the word in the way he brought it in a very authentic, down to earth way you could understand. It was very understandable to me. And I was led to embark in this territory, as I said earlier, is all a gift to me because I never saw. I was telling somebody I was in the car, and I said, I thought about it, it's like I never saw me as me.
Wow.
I never saw me. I never.
Wow. Can you explain it a little bit further in further detail?
Like, I come from, Newark. It was like, back then it was like rough. Rough is a light word for it. Felt like, I would never get out. Like, so that's how I wound up in Philly. And just the experiences that I have had and the people and the grace. I had like so much grace, and I had people that taught me everything I know. Some of it came like spiritually, but I had like really good people that wanted me to learn and, elevate. And I still had that in my life, and that's all a gift. And I'm actually a product of what other people have poured, what God and other people have poured into me. I'm a product of that, not so much of my own direction. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm a surprise.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's powerful because, unfortunately, a lot of people become a product of their environment and they don't see anything outside of just that. So for you to, overcome a lot of things that, the PTSD, you have PTSD from the community and your environment. But for you to overcome that and to pour back into the community and have your faith, to get you through, that just speaks volumes of your character and who you are.
Yeah. Definitely. Miss Cass, I have a question for you. You mentioned something that kind of stood out for me in terms of, your youth and how you grew up. And during that time, a lot of the leadership and political figures used to groom the young folks, right? You had like the Black Panthers and, bringing them in and the kids were, dressing up and trying to understand what politics is and leadership is, right? That said, it's a new generation that's here, right? And a lot of the new generation feel that that the leadership isn't doing that grooming, right? And so it's this disconnect that now you have, a leadership that the younger generation feel that they don't want to pass the baton, right, and groom to be in leadership positions, right? But then you have a older demographic or the leadership feeling like, you know, the younger generation don't necessarily get it, right? And so how do we and you come from, and I say this and I'm gonna put this in context, and you come from various platforms of all generations, right? You do your community events, it's people, it's 5-year-olds there, right? You talk to kind of the leadership, the political, and you're there with the leadership already, right? You know, the mayors, all of the, you know, city council, you're there, you're in the mix of that. And you get the churches, you've been in there, and you get all of that, right? But in understanding all that, do you have an idea on how we can potentially bridge these generations, bridge the leadership to get them on the same page? Because I think that's where the break is happening, right? So what's your position on that? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it go back to what we were just talking about, right? Like when I went to work at University of Penn, right? I started out as a temp.
Right.
And I was a temp for a while, but then somebody taught me how to do something else. Like I never worked in accounting. I have an art background. I didn't have a business background.
Yeah.
But people taught me. They took, like they weren't afraid. You know, I have a mentor now, adult mentor. I think people never get too old to have mentors, and they never too young to have mentors. I think a young person can be an older person mentor. Like,
for sure.
you know, I think that's really
I
valuable.
love that. Yep.
That it's all reciprocal.
Right,
So that's how I operate. But I have a mentor. He's younger than me, but he talks about this scarcity, right? And it makes sense. Like if you operate in, like the people that taught me and shared with me, they wasn't worried about me taking their job. Right? Because they had whatever they had and they didn't feel so threatened. But when you working and operating from a scarcity mindset, you kind of get more paranoid about teaching and letting things go and being looser and opening up. So you hold it so tight. But when we hold it so tight, you know, that's a proverb, right? You hold it so tight, you don't get nothing in. You can't take nothing in. And I think that those are some practices from the past that we let go of, especially in Black and Brown and marginalized communities. Those is important traits that we can reshift our culture back to a place of humanity, but also while we use progress too. So, you know, and progress come from, like I said, you know, you guys know, like even being on the show with Eli Lou, like, you know, I think that we all have to invest in other generations. Like even people who are 30 should be investing in the people that's 20. People that's 20, you can invest in somebody that's in middle school. You know, that it's always that we kind of stacking the deck for success. And how we do that is through building those relationships, because, you know, you can't wait till you're ready to roll to do that. You got to do that. It's called planning and preparation.
Yes.
I'm glad you said that, Ms. Cass, because it seems like, and we just spoke about it with previous guests we had on how Philly supposed to support Philly, but they have a mindset that once you get what you want and you leave, they don't come back to, you know, help Philadelphia. And I think that that's changing now. Like you mentioned with Eli and Lou, and even, you know, some of the bigger names like Kevin Hart, like they are starting to say, let's get back to this community.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if we don't, you know, if that doesn't happen, like it's kind of like Wake Up Time, right? What's that Spike Lee movie when it's like Wake Up?
Yeah, wake up, yeah.
Because if we don't wake up and do that, we're not going to have it.
Yeah. How about that?
Like somebody else come in and get it.
How about that? Yeah, definitely. That's yeah, you hit that right. And one of the things I always say, which is very similar, is if you don't tell your story, someone else will. And
Yeah.
they'll tell it in a way that may not necessarily be the way that you want them to tell it, right? And so it's important for us to hold and have our own narratives and make sure that those stories are clear. You mentioned the arts, right? And We Talk Weekly, as you know, I'm an advocate of the arts. We Talk Weekly is an advocate of the arts because that's where we come out of, right? What we do in supporting the arts, from radio, television, and film to creative arts, I believe Philadelphia excels when it comes to that. Why is it that you're so supportive of that? So much so that you do a yearly event, summer event that's literally supporting those creatives that's within the arts.
So, as an artist, right? It took a long time. When I was younger, of course, I wanted to grow up and be the next Georgia O'Keeffe or mahogany fashion designer or whatever, but that's not what I was dealt. I wound up in accounting and business. But I wanted to always work in an art institution, and I got to work at Institute of Contemporary Art. And what I learned was that it was all these careers in art that was surrounded and connected to art, the arts, that I never ever knew about. And I went to art school on Saturday. I went to an art high school, but it was so many. I didn't know makeup was like, I knew I liked makeup, but I didn't know makeup was an art,
Yeah.
Like it was all these ways you can make money, right? And that's the blessing I had working at ICA. It's a part of University of Penn, so I worked in an art environment while I got paid and had benefits for me and my children. And so, that's my like role in saying, is making sure people, know that there's option. It's wonderful to do art for art's sake, but artists have to be able to make a living. And I'm definitely, committed to dispelling that you have to be this quote unquote romanticized starving artist to be quote unquote an artist. Artists should make money, as some artists do. And I'm very, very much committed through Fine Art Through Our Eyes and the work I do in the arts is that, who lifts you up. And we as community should be able to lift up who we want to lift up and make sure they're okay, opposed to having some other people lift us up, right? We can lift each other up in that space. And also that the work I do in community and in activism, I tell people I do that from an art perspective. I'm always thinking about, I look at some things like a blank canvas and how you want to put all these, elements on it. Is going to be paint? Am I doing a collage? Like, what am I going to get? And I'm always trying to see how we can create a masterpiece, but it's like in 3D. It's in community. So I approach even my community work from an art perspective.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Miss Cass, what do you do for your outlet? You have so many things that you have doing, and then so many people pulling from you when you just need to like recharge for yourself. And I know that it's your faith too, but what's another outlet that helps you to stay recharged to keep giving back?
So I do like I get hooked on those what's those little mini series things. I watch like crazy TV. I like that. Them little I get hooked. I go in the rabbit hole with them. That's bad. I hate it sometimes. And then my granddaughter got a dog like a year ago Christmas.
Nice.
So he's not my dog. He's my granddaughter's dog, but I have his picture on my phone. And I love Milo. We all in love with this little black chihuahua. Like,
Oh, that's your great grand. That's what that is.
that's my great grand
That's
dog.
right.
Great grand dog.
Absolutely.
And then, I kind of like, one of the things I really enjoy is I'm very fortunate. I live near a playground. So I could just chilling for me is if I'm seeing the kids playing, and like today the ice cream truck came, they was happy.
Nice.
I see those children happy. That bring me such joy.
Oh, awesome. And I could feel it when you start speaking about it. Like I could just, I don't know, when you were just explaining the things that bring you joy, I could hear the joy as you told us.
Yeah, and I think too, like, like even in the joy of my work is that Like I like it when like you get somebody that's like totally not down or resistant to art or community or people, whatever, and changing people's mind. I get a super charge out of that. If I could like just change somebody's mind, it'd be like, oh, okay, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So,
But I think I just wanted to say, when you asked me about what kind of drives me
yeah,
and the grind, and I just wanted to say too, like I think, and I don't know, I can't tell. Like I think it's people that have had lived experiences. If we center on them, that's what drives me. Like, because I've been in situations where I knew somebody that was in a situation. I might meet somebody that's in a situation. If I can kind of invoke that experience in my own way, that keep me grinding, right? And then other people will say, I'll be like, yeah, like I understand that. And if I'm talking to somebody and their experience, not my experience, but I want to really hear and listen and understand that experience. So then you can operate out of that. That's a part of my grind. And I would just encourage the candidates, like, just keep, remembering that if y'all, if you lived in a house and y'all had to eat whatever, eat cereal with a fork, then just remember how that felt.
yeah.
Yes,
That's
oh,
right.
God.
And that'll help you do right by the people.
See, what you're saying right now is something that hit home. We had the opportunity to have the commissioner on, and a lot of what he said echoed pretty much your sentiment in that, just pretty much keep it real with the people, right? And also hold them accountable, right? It was a few people who we reached out that, we didn't get any callbacks, right? And then we had a lot of people who actually came on the show and like, yo, gosh, I love what you guys are doing. And so we're always for one thing we say that we're we don't take sides, right? What we do, however, is support the people who we actually see out there, seeing those streets, seeing those communities, and support some of the initiatives that we support, like the arts, right? And so. That said, is there anyone, or because I don't want to put you on the spot on choosing just one person, right? But are there any people in the running that you say I believe these are the candidates that may be better for the community, or that I see may be successful in being in a leadership position like the mayor?
Well, I mean, I actually can't, speak to that
Yeah.
specifically. No, I really can't like say
Yeah.
specifically anyone directly, right? But like I think we have to just ask folks to, kind of get aligned, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially if it's a particular party or
Yeah.
something, then you think about alignment, right? Like, because sometimes it's like we're aligned. I feel like we're aligned, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
You guys reached out to me. I came. We
100%.
having this, conversation.
100%.
I'm getting something and feeling your energy, and I'm hoping you feeling mine. So there is some alignment. And
Right.
what you even said about, I'm not, throwing shade on anyone that did not answer your call, but the people that did answer your call, there's alignment in that, and
Right.
that's power.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Yes.
I love that.
So, it's all about if people think it's an I or if they think it's a we.
I love
Because
that's the
We Talk Weekly, right?
There
There you go.
That's right.
that's a great. I love that. I'm gonna steal some of that, and I'll give you your credit. But I love you've been dropping some sound bites on that. But we love you here, and you're always be. Go ahead.
I just had a quick question. I know that you. I love and admire that you love giving back to the community, and you love giving people their flowers. You have the annual MCCP Hip Hop and Jazz Fest, which we have had the opportunity to be there. I wasn't there; I was sick, unfortunately. But you've honored so many great people. You had um Freeway.
Yeah, for sure.
Freeway perform. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what was the idea and the thought in that? Putting that together initially and then having it be annually.
So, well, I organize festivals. I organized the Lancaster Avenue Jazz and Arts Festival for many, many years. And I also organized a street sovereignty festival for 52nd Street with the Philadelphia Museum of Art. It was the Philadelphia Assemble exhibition. So that I do organize festivals. And so I had been thinking about, I say, these festivals that we do down in Saunders Park are great, but how would that happen like on the block in the hood? And I had always wanted to do that, but I also had this idea around jazz and doing jazz under the stars. But then, like I said, I try to not operate from my eye place, and I was talking to some partners, which included Eli Liu and this gentleman, Derek Pratt, one of my brothers in progress, I call them. And we were talking and they was like, well, what about hip hop? Because we want to make sure we have an intergenerational audience. So that decision to make blend jazz with hip hop came from us being at the table together and how most importantly, not just celebrate the arts, but also that we were able to figure out how to make it intergenerational. And that's how the hip hop component came to be on it. And we wanted to do it, in the neighborhood. And we wanted, the main thing too is that we wanted to have the same type of feeling of excellence like we get on the Parkway, right? At Welcome America and stuff. We wanted that in our neighborhood. And so that was our goal for the last 2 years. I'm sure it'll be a third year. Hopefully we have great partners we work with and just like exploring how we can always stretch it a little more. Like last year, I think there was 72 people performed. I mean, it was a lot of people. So just keep, stretching it out, making it bigger and better and bringing in that combined, those combined talents, ideas and creativity together.
That's dope. So, Ms. Cass, I definitely want you to piggyback on that and talk a little bit more about MCCP. I want you to tell everybody about MCCP, which stands for Mill Creek Community Partnership, because you started. Ms. Cass is like creator, founder of MCCP, and this actually was birthed from the church down the way, I was told. So I don't really know that. So tell us that story and then tell us, the mission of MCCP. I want to shed some light on that organization right now and let us know how we can support and assist and partner or whatever it is that you guys have going on next.
Yeah, so MCCP was founded, I say co-founded because, it was myself and my pastor, Reverend Curtis. So Reverend Curtis passed 11 years ago. So basically it keeps his legacy going also, right? And what was really important to him was that this particular ministry, as I said, non-denominational, it was important that everybody had access, no matter where you were, you come as you are, there was no barriers to keep you from, learning and having a personal, intimate relationship with God for yourself. And he wanted to make sure that we had a system to do that in, because not everybody would feel comfortable entering through, quote unquote, the church, right?
Got it. Okay.
The church, organized religion, right? So that's how, and I was working and I had never done it before, started a nonprofit, but I went to the Penn Center, Netter Center, went to those classes. Penn Law School helped us write the application for MCCP, and that's how it was birthed. And then in tangent with that, I started Fine Art Through Our Eyes, which is our art program, community arts initiative, which is centered around contemporary art and lifting up creative placekeeping and artists of color. And so, you
Awesome.
know, it's been 18 years since we started Mill Creek Community Partnership. It's definitely outgrown just Mill Creek, which is a community in West Philly, but
Yes.
we extend throughout West Philadelphia now, and even it has done work in Kensington and all over the city. So it's kind of outgrown just that idea of just being in one neighborhood. And what we have found, you know, a part of what, as I mentioned earlier, that capacity building, right? Like it was really birthed in the mission was that we did not want to duplicate services, but we definitely wanted to be a catalyst for change.
Okay.
And be supportive and just go into places and rooms and discover things that may, you know, we feel like we shut out of, and also that haven't been like investigated more. And so Pastor Curtis had been all over the world. The influences I had being in, you know, contemporary art, elite art environments, University of Penn, all of that came out and said, how do we make sure that we give other people access to that information, those materials, and uplift the work that's already happening on the ground? So, you know, I've been thinking about MCCP a lot. You know, it's trajectory a lot lately, and really feeling like that we have done that concept of being a catalyst for change. When we started, it wasn't a lot of Black and brown nonprofits, right? And now, like, it's a lot of them. It's
Yeah,
like,
it is.
it's a lot of nonprofits, and I'm super excited about them. Like, people I know or people I always wanted to start one have started them. People have started businesses, and, you know, however small amount or, you know, larger way we may have been involved in supporting or inspiring people to do that. Like, that's really what it has, the intention of it was and is. It's about access. And so what's next with it? Looking to see, you know, it needs to be only where it can help build capacity and succession, right? Because that's what they say about nonprofits. If you really into this work at a deep level, we should always be trying to work ourselves out of business. And not have people always having to be like, you know, beholding and right. That's it, right?
Right.
Is we in scarcity or we want to get to abundance? So we want to, MCCP is all about seeing how we can be a part of building abundance.
And MCCP is definitely known all throughout the city now. It has definitely grown way past Mill Creek, and we have you to thank for that. And I thank you just for even creating it to give folks an outlet and somewhere to go and a place to continue to help our community. And even the art program is amazing, shedding light on the art of our community and lifting up, you know, the Black artists. So that's been phenomenal, and just within itself.
Yeah,
Thank you, Stacey. I appreciate it.
for sure. You know, well, you know, we're always going to support you here. We Talk Weekly. We had the opportunity to pretty much cover and stream the entire event. We had the ability to interview Freeway and amongst everyone. And when I say everyone, everyone was there. And I was so surprised to see the gradation of, you know, the people, the different people, the variety of people, the, you know, the rainbow of people, and to underscore not only jazz but the hip hop piece. And everyone is always scared to, well, hip hop is going to bring bad people in the community, but literally everyone was there and just had a beautiful time, no issue at all. Right. So that says a lot about, you know, the overthinking of people within the communities as if they can't do the right thing, right? And so kudos to you in the work that you're doing, and you know that We Talk Weekly will always be there, especially to support Miss Cass. Everybody love Miss Cass for sure. So before we let you go, why don't you tell everyone how they can find more about Mill Creek, about some of the things that you're doing, how can they contact you? And because I mean, all the stuff you do, I think I'm gonna ask you for a job. I need a job, yeah. But yeah, how can they contact you? All that good old stuff. Yeah.
So we do have a website. It's called mccpcommunity.com. And the art bus will be out in a couple of weeks, so you could tag into the art bus. We have a mobile art classroom that goes, we do some events. We try to do community events, at no cost or really a small nominal cost. But we do have a traveling mobile art classroom, and it's also available for events and things like that. So we'll be at the HBCU event over at the Man. Art bus will be there. I'm just kind of like looking at where the peripheral is right now. So I'm like going to just shout out, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please do.
Yes.
I got to shout out, cause it's all about that succession, right?
That's right.
I got to shout out the Film Factory.
Yes.
Yes, they are having a camp in Mantua in partnership with We Embrace Fatherhood.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
For sure.
And they're going to show, our youth how to make film and all those careers. Remember, I talked about those careers. It's a whole plethora of careers in filmmaking that our children may just not know about. They may be thinking they can only be like the star when they could be like do all this other stuff and make money while they get to being the star.
Yeah.
So I want people to support that. It's a pilot. We need to build it out so that when the films come here to be made, the people in Philly can get them jobs.
Yeah, I know that's right.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Ms. Kaz, because we're going to be starting they're going to be starting sign-ups soon, so children can sign up for the pilot program to attend.
Yeah, I think it's August 3rd. They want them to sign up. I mean, by April 3rd.
April 3rd. Classes will start in May. And yours truly will be teaching the assistant director's class. So, thank you all for your support. Thank you, Ms. Cass. But yeah, we definitely want to get the children involved. So if any of you know of any children that would be interested in learning filmmaking and script writing, yes, please reach out. We'll also share the information on our platform or how they can sign up.
Absolutely. And then the new church down the way is actually having a, Easter event next Sunday at 4234 Ogden Street from like 1 to 4. And people who can't make it there next Sunday can also go to Mill Creek Playground at 47th and Brown. There's a big event there. And it's a lot going on. So, let's get the children out, families, building our own, we have our community traditions. Let's do that.
It's spring now. So
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, though, you mentioned something that I was unaware. The art bus. Can you go a little bit more into that in detail? Because this is the first I'm hearing about the art bus. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. So, I had this idea that again, it's all about access. Like you guys will get sick of me here saying that word, right? Making things accessible, right? Like why I got to go somewhere? Why some things like that was the premise. That's how I was trained with outreach, right? Outreach isn't about people coming to you. It's about going out to them. Right. That's how I was trained to do community activism. And so in order to do that with art, I was like, wow, it'd be dope to get a bus and retrofit it. And I had thought about it for years, but then I wrote a grant and I got it. And I was talking to this dude that I wanted to take this grant, buy a airport shuttle bus or a bus and have it retrofitted and be this mobile art classroom that we could take fine art through our eyes, not from a building to the block. And I met this guy, Sadekio from Traction Company. He was like, well, Philadelphia Museum of Art got this thing and it's a meeting bus. And he said, you should talk to them. And I talked to them. Jana is back in Netherlands. and the exhibit was over, and it was like, well, what we going to do with this portable meeting room? It was, it had a film. You could show a film, sit on it, meet, all of that, and write on it and everything. And when the exhibition closed, Philadelphia Museum of Art gifted it to MCCP.
Wow.
And so we said, it go back to legacy, right? We felt like not only did it give us an opportunity, and we had the gentleman do the retrofitting again to make it more of an art classroom, but like it was like we felt responsible also to keep that legacy going, because that particular exhibition highlighted all the communities in Philadelphia that had never been done. All the communities came together and brought artists, writers, culinary artists, all of that together in an exhibition. And we feel like we're a part of keeping that legacy going. It's a couple other places that are still active in that space, but we used the art bus to lift up Philadelphia Assembled and all that it did with the sovereignty and all the other elements of that show, and also bring art to the ground and to the block. It's a couple of other people got mobile art programs now too, so that's good. We hope we inspire somebody else to do that, because that's what we learned in COVID. We was popping in COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I say the art bus was everywhere in COVID. And so a couple of years ago, I had these graffiti artists came, and it was like, wow, like we had it how it looked from Philadelphia Assembled, but let it be also a traveling piece of artwork. So we had 3 artists work on it, and they did a dope job, and just blinged it out. And so the goal is every 2 years that we'll have another group of artists come and redesign it, and the bus is actually a work of art.
I love that. I love that. Next time you do, maybe I guess once that 2 year come up and they start to paint that, call us out. We'll start to stream and show like that whole process. I think that would be great to amplify the message and get that out there. But also, we'll be reaching out. I just got a confirmation today actually that I might be doing another fashion show the second week of August. Maybe we can bring out that art show back in. That art bus, have it right next to that, amplify that too, let's get them all out. But I just want to say I appreciate you again, and thanks for that information. I think that it would be I think what you're doing is just amazing, and I think if everyone got that memo, that it's enough out there for everyone, right? If everyone got that memo, I think we'll be in better shape and stop hoarding and holding tight the reins that they can't share, right? And I think what you're doing is an excellent blueprint as to how to succeed in not only culture, but in culture and community for sure, yeah. So thank you for your service. Thank you for all you do. And thanks for continuing being an advocate, especially for not only the community, but for the arts, because that's what we do. I mean, literally. And without the arts, you think it's crime now. If they took the arts out of Philly will be in trouble, right? And that's our outlet. That's how we communicate our messaging through our art form, right? And so thank you so much. And is there any last words you want to say to the community, to the people, to the viewers?
I do have 2 things. One thing also, like around the arts, right, and the work that you all are doing and other artists and visionaries are doing. This is my 3rd time saying it in the last couple of weeks, is that, and we also had to be very intentional about how we build commerce and respect in Philly, so that we could keep our artists such as yourselves and our creatives in Philly, right? It's been my understanding, I've talked to them, not all of them, but some of them, and the younger ones are saying they have to roll out because they getting at a ceiling in Philly. Yes. And the ceiling is pretty low. It's not even like a high ceiling. And so we have to be more intentional about that, because as our talent is cultivated, we can't share art with the expectation that, our kids can't get jobs or not being educated and we don't have opportunities. So to keep that flow going, we got to find some way to keep our artists here. and make sure that they thriving. So that's one thing. And, just before we go tonight, I just had to say, because I'm spirit, right? There's a young woman, and I know this week is coming up, and I know it's a lot of people who are out in our community right now. And this is in reference to one of the little boy. He was 13. He got shot around the corner on 49th and Hoops, like that first week in April last year. And it's just been really in my spirit. And his mom, he had some brothers, and just, we got to help folks. I've just been thinking about her a lot, and him. Yeah. And I just want us to just think about, like, what happens after the fact, a year in, and wow. Like, so, let's just send prayers and energy. I've been sending it to her and anyone else I know that may have lost a child or someone close to them through the violence.
Yeah.
But if we could just, like, be empaths for them, if it's somebody you know or just a story you remember, to just keep them in your heart and on your mind, because I don't want to know and I can't imagine, but I just been feeling her, and I needed to just put it out there verbally, the energy that I'm let's pray for her. Yeah.
100%. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Let's pray for her. He was a baby.
Yeah. Yeah. We got it. Yeah, Philly.
Pray for Philly.
Pray for Philly. Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks, Miss Cass, and I appreciate you for doing it, because I'm sure not only that family, but for those who may be watching this, that may affect and others who may be going through similar situations, because the young gentleman who was shot, in down the bottom, it's another gentleman who was shot in North Philly, and another one who was shot in West Philly and Overbrook, and it's a lot of, this toxic kind of energy that has been happening in Philadelphia that I believe can pivot if the right people are, using your word, intentional, right, in fixing that, not just pontificating about it, right? And so thank you for all that you do. And, We Talk Weekly is always here. One thing real quick, I know I said I was going to let you go, but one thing that you said that really stood out to me was the idea of having to support the artist, right? Because when you talk about a glass ceiling, We Talk Weekly has reached one, right? And the idea of what's going to keep us here, because it's people sniffing, right? And it's kind of like, well, what's going to keep us in Philly if that's what we've been doing, amplifying in Philly, but then someone come, say, for example, New York or North Carolina, and say, yo, we can really use y'all, in down south, because we love y'all energy, but the love isn't here in Philadelphia. Not saying that it's not there, because I don't want to, put out that bad energy, but what I am saying is, we do need people in those leadership positions that's actually understanding that concept of glass ceiling, these artists, and this is the reason why they're leaving. And if you're not supporting, then they're gone, And so that's something I just wanted to put out there. And thanks for kind of mentioning that, because we've been.
You know what it's like, Charles? It's kind of like almost like artistic and cultural gentrification.
Oh, geez.
Wow. Yep.
Gotta be careful. We gotta stay woke, right?
Yeah, geez, that was.
Somebody else will come in, like, yo, like.
Never thought of it in that way.
Yeah, that was heavy.
Yeah.
Miss Cass dropped them bombs. I
I
might
know
have
that
to
was
take
the
that.
bomb.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that one from you too.
That was deep. That was
Yeah,
deep.
that was yes.
Round of applause for Miss Cass, y'all.
Thank you, Miss
Thank you,
Cass.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Absolutely. And it's one thing we always say: once you're a friend to the show, you're always welcome to come back. But you're not a friend; you're the family. You you're the family. So you're always welcome to come on. And anything you're doing, We Talk Weekly got you. You already know. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we got the sizzle, Miss Cash, y'all. Holla at your boy. Yeah, early.
Thank you. God bless.
PMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We talk weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gregory and a beautiful
Lauren Sizzle.
and a beautiful
Classy lady
and a
Sparkle.
beautiful.
Lady
I
Esther.
just want to say something about Miss Cass real quick, man. She dropped some bombs today, and I think we have to really start paying attention to some of the people who's actually doing the work, that's seeing some issues out there and trying to be vocal about it, but no one's listening. And the one thing that I would hate to do, because I'm so Philly, everybody on the planet know how Philly I am. But it's people sniffing around, and if we have to go, that will be heartbreaking. But when we reach out to certain people in leadership position and they're not listening and they're not looking and they're not supporting, what else can artists like us do? That's actually a question for y'all. Like, what you think, Sizzle? Like, what can artists like us do? It's hard, right?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
You know,
That's a tough one.
I mean, we have, but what I will say is kudos to people like the Black and Brown funders, you know, people like the Linfest Institute who really see talent in groups like us, right? Organizations like us. And that's the key. People who actually see something that's going on and like, yo, it's a little potential there, right? That's all you need is just a little. Just support it.
Yeah,
about you?
she, well, no, she Miss Cass was dropping some gems, especially when she spoke about cultural gentrification.
That
What
was
did she
heavy.
say? She
Yeah.
said another word.
Gentrification,
It
that
was
was crazy.
cultural something. But we actually, Sizzle and I did something the other day about gentrification in the Germantown area, and they were talking about gentrification versus revitalization. So hearing it again, it's like gentrification displaces, revitalization adds in. So most of the time when you're gentrifying something, it's usually bringing in natives or people that are there and you're removing them, where revitalization is that you're a native and you're pouring back in. Currently, we are in revitalization as natives of Philadelphia in the arts, and then, you know, all of that community, we're adding towards, you know, but like you said, if the ceiling is at a certain point where it's, you know, how high can it go, and it's not, you know, it's midway, you want to go higher. You know what I mean? So you need those people who are already above that to send the elevator down and help out. So then what happens? Gentrification somewhere else. You take those same seeds, you bury them, and then they grow and sprout somewhere else. So the question is, how do you avoid it? I don't know.
You know,
Except for somebody else to just go ahead and send the elevator
but that's
down.
the thing, you know, and it sucks, but you know, and I'm gonna fuss at Philly real quick. You know, when you talk about, and this is no hit on the artist because it's not their fault, but when you have people that's coming into town like the Moni Loves, like the, you know, the Charlamagne the Gods, like the Wendy Williams, and you have super talent in Philly that could do that job, but you bring people that's not even from your town to represent your town. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I mean, if you, looking at it that way, but also looking at it in the sector of police, you have all
There you
these
go.
people who could have done a commissioner's job, even if they chose to do
100%.
female. It's like, why would you go outside? Even the people in the
100%.
community. So although we're speaking about specifically this sector, it's like, it's everywhere.
No, that's my point.
You know what I
Philly,
mean?
period.
So,
No,
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
100%. I 100% agree with you. I'm talking about talent, period.
Absolutely.
Philadelphia talent, period. If you are a talented politician, you're a talented, you know, engineer,
The
you
superintendent, was
superintendent.
the school superintendent. That was another one.
I'm
like,
just saying.
we're here.
I don't
and
understand
You're looking
Philly.
above us. You're
I
looking
just don't-
past us. It's
I don't
like,
understand it. I think the hospitality and tourism spills over. The concept of hospitality and tourism and getting people here kind of spills over in the employment sector in terms of what's going to push the city forward. But I'm going to say with 100% certainty, no one pushed the city further in Philadelphia than a Philadelphian.
100%.
You can go anywhere on the planet, literally during the Super Bowl, it was more people from Philadelphia there than the people.
They say that.
I'm just saying.
It's just something about Philadelphia.
Just something about Philadelphians.
Yeah.
And so
all colors and creeds, though.
that's
it
my
ain't
point.
even on some,
it ain't just, I'm talking about Philadelphia town.
Period.
I totally agree. I agree.
Philly represents. So you don't think, who would have more Philly love, passion, and drive than a Philadelphian on a platform to talk about Philly? Who? I'll wait.
Crickets.
Yeah, that's why we're going into the sizzle. Yeah, so you ready for the sizzle?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, she ready for the sizzle. All right, man.
Talk Weekly. Subscribe on all social media and podcast platforms. And if you want to support us even further, be sure to like, comment, and share. All right, Blac Chyna. She is opening up about illegal injections that she had as a teen and what led to her reversing her cosmetic surgeries. So Blac Chyna, whose real name is Angela White, she sat down with Access Hollywood and talked about her spiritual awakening. Blac Chyna broke down the illegal silicone butt injections that she had at 19 and how they were performed by somebody who wasn't licensed. So she explained, this is a regular person that's doing it. They're giving whatever substance that they're doing and giving it to you. They're not going to tell you, hey, you could possibly die. She also added that her rear end would get really, really hard and inflamed and really hot, which scared her. Well, Blac Chyna shared that her plastic surgeon spent 8 hours removing over 1,200 cubic centimeters of silicone from her behind, which is the equivalent of a 2-liter Coke bottle. So she said she lost 10 pounds from the surgery and also had her fillers removed from her lips. But Blac Chyna says she has changed her life and letting God use her. She has joined a list of female celebrities like Cardi B and K. Michelle who have warned women about the harmful, life-threatening effects of plastic surgery. So shout out to her. That's huge to be able to do that and say like, hey, especially when you're walking around and some people were saying like, oh, she's getting money, the money that she's made from her assets and, she's had that stuff removed and she's sharing this with her followers. And
I love it.
She looks happy.
Not only do she look happy,
Internally,
she looks beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, the Sizzle sent me a couple pictures, but I had to find a couple pictures just to show you what I'm talking about, right? So I want you to look at this, right?
Yeah.
I want you to look at this, right? Now look at this.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
She looks amazing. She was on Tamara Hall.
Yeah, she was.
This is her on Tamara Hall. She looks amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like the same person.
Gosh. It looked like she got work done.
Right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In
yeah.
contrast, right? She had all that stuff. It looked like she got work done and looked better. She actually took away all that stuff. And this is her natural.
Yeah.
She looks beautiful.
Yeah.
shout out to her.
And I was thinking that too. It did look like she had like more professional work done. Because it's like when she started off getting work done, it was illegal, like
It wasn't professional.
Yeah.
Shots fired at the first one.
Yeah. Well, she I know. All right, I'm gonna leave that alone because then I can't make that no better.
Yeah, she might have took Rihanna's place. I don't know.
Nah.
Wait,
She might have took
hold
Rihanna's
up.
Nah. You seriously?
No, see, this is the thing. I like the idea that if you listen to how she's talking, like she found God. Like, well, she could be Hollywooding, but just being positive, she found God. She looks beautiful, and she's saying that she's taking accountability of the things that she did. And she said that. I listened to a little bit of Tamara Hall, and I just was like, wow, that's great. Like, I just felt I just felt good for it. Like I was just like,
Yeah.
congrats. Like, you know what I mean? It's to find yourself, especially in Hollywood, that's hard. 'Cause you get caught in that
Yeah.
whole kind of Hollywood-ish stuff, right? Especially around your peers, because you want to keep up with that. But for her to finally distance herself, nobody take Rihanna, please. Just say.
I was
But-
about to say,
nah,
you
nobody take
trading
Rihanna.
you
Nah.
trading in your boo?
Nah, nobody
For
take
real?
Rihanna, please. She just married
It
now,
must be.
so that's what
I was about to say, do
I'm-
this have anything to do with the husband and two kids?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, I think it has everything to do.
I think that's
I
what it is.
gotta give him his. I gotta
what it
give
is.
him his
You
space.
backing off?
Yeah, I gotta give him
Backing
his
off.
space. I gotta give him his space.
So you gonna yield on over
I gotta
Black
find.
China?
I gotta find somebody else. You know.
You gotta find
to be-
somebody
what
else.
you call it? The fanboy over him. But no. But kudos to. She don't even call herself Black China no more, right?
She wants to go by Angela White,
Right.
and people don't even know that's her real name.
Angela White.
Yeah. No doubt.
So her mom gave herself Tokyo after they called her China.
What?
I just
Her
realized
mom name
that.
is Tokyo. So I'm like, was that like, I don't know. I always thought it was Black China because her mom's name was Tokyo. I was like, oh, that's cute.
I ain't
They
even
did the
put the two
Tokyo.
together.
and
Her
the
mom's
China.
real name is Tokyo?
I don't know. That's why I was asking.
I think it's.
Y'all can't just be throwing this stuff at me.
Yeah.
Y'all know I ain't.
Stacey
You
like,
know I ain't
huh? What? What you talking?
All right. Well, Creed 3 actor Jonathan Majors, he was arrested on assault charges stemming from an alleged incident with his girlfriend. So NYPD reports that there was a call to an apartment in Manhattan for a domestic dispute. Police said a 30-year-old woman was suffering from minor head and neck injuries. The victim told police she had been assaulted. I believe an ambulance arrived with the police at the same time, so she was taken to the hospital. Jonathan Majors was taken into custody and shortly thereafter released. His attorney released a statement saying, "We are quickly gathering and presenting evidence to the district attorney with the expectation that all charges will be dropped imminently. This evidence includes video footage from the vehicle where the episode took place, witness testimony from the driver and others who both saw and heard the episode, and most importantly, two written statements from the woman recanting these allegations. All the evidence proves that Mr. Majors is entirely innocent and did not assault her whatsoever." So, I was just baffled how quickly the turnaround time on this evidence is. No trial, no nothing, but they already got their receipts. So the text messages were exposed, and the woman is texting him saying, "Please let me know you're okay when you get this. They assured me that you won't be charged. They said they had to arrest you as protocol when they saw the injuries on me, and they knew we had a fight. I am so angry that they did, and I'm sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I told them it was my fault for trying to grab your phone. I only just got out of the hospital. Just call me when you're out. I love you." So she sent another text maybe a couple hours later, and she said, "They just called me again to check on me, and I reiterated how this was not an attack, and they do not have my blessing on any charges being placed. I read the paper they gave me about the strangulation, and I said point blank, this did not occur and should be removed immediately. The judge is definitely going to be told this. She ensured this to me. I know you have the best team and there's nothing to worry about, and I just want you to know that I'm doing all I can on my end. I also said to tell the judge to know that the origin of the call was to do with me collapsing and passing out, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this. It's really small. And your worry as my partner due to our communication prior, out of care. She promised all will be relayed." So, Jonathan Major has had roles in Creed 3 alongside Michael B. Jordan, The Last Black Man in San Francisco, Netflix, The Harder They Fall, and Marvel's Ant-Man, the Wasp, Quantumanium. He also presented, which was really cute, presented an award at the past 95th Oscars where he and Michael B. Jordan gave Auntie
What's up,
Angela Bassett her flowers.
Yeah.
So people are saying like, oh, he stands to lose so much.
And he has already.
And he has already because people are already pulling out of.
So
They
bad,
pulled
man. The Army.
Army.
Yes.
What were you about to say?
No, it's just so it's disgusting to me that literally an accusation. First of all, if I'm not mistaken, he called the cops.
Yeah, I was about to say, what
He
part did I
called
miss?
first.
No, you ain't miss anything.
I'm like, how?
You didn't miss anything. He called the cops.
Yeah.
They turned around and took him.
Yeah, they were saying that when he got there, when they got there, she was saying, "Oh, well, he did this to me because she called on him.
And here's
He
another-
called on her, and then when they got there, she's like,
Here-
oh, well,
here's another thing that legally that they do. So when a woman makes an accusation like that and then she recants it, the state can pick it up.
Absolutely.
And they do.
For battered woman syndrome.
They do.
What it is that there was once a woman who recanted her statement for her abusive ex-husband, and she pulled all the charges back, and then he killed her. He was still abusing her, and because mentally you're all messed up, you're saying this not sometimes out of frightenness, but out of mental illness. That's why they passed the law that regardless if you recant your statement, then now the state has to pick it up. So all that stuff she's saying don't mean nothing. Now he has to go in front of the courts, and it's now the state against him after she pulls her name. It's not her against him.
And that's why I said,
Yes.
what did I miss? So when the police arrived, did she say all these things?
Well, it sounds
Well,
like she.
Because how did they get all this information?
from she sent text messages. I guess they took her away to the hospital. So from the hospital, she's like texting him, I just got out the hospital or whatever, and like she must have been communicating with his people or something like that, and communicating with him, and his attorney
But
is
she's
the
saying
one that's,
something about a police report that had something on about her being strangled. And she's like, I told them that didn't happen.
Yep.
So how did they get the information to begin with? Who told them that it did happen for them to write it down?
She did.
Okay, so
So now
okay.
she's recanting her statement. She's basically I think they were in a cab. She thought there was another woman texting her. She grabbed the phone. She got crazy. He called the police to protect himself. The police shows up. Even if it's verbal statement, she's like, oh, he did this, this, and this.
Yeah,
and then when she realized what she did, which probably was a lie, now she's recanting her story. And it doesn't matter. They're going to pick it up. The state of wherever it occurred in, and now it's the state versus him.
And this is why I have a problem with women.
And not to mention, and someone are going to say, you're going to say it.
yeah, I was like not wanting to say that because
Right,
I
go
left
ahead.
it out. Like, she's a white woman, and she's not a woman. She's not a black woman. She's a
And-
white woman.
And not saying that it doesn't
This
happen.
situation has nothing to do with color.
I think it does.
You think so?
I really, and when I say it comes with color, it's just like what we talked about with the shooting. When things happen, the way of how it's perceived by the eyes of America, it's different. One, yes, with black women in general, we go through abusive relationships, but when it's a black woman, it's not as prevalent as it is with the history of Emmett Till and so forth and all of this of a white woman lying on a black man. And that's is their choice of when they reach a certain level in I see your hair go back. Go ahead, see. Go ahead. Maybe
No,
I'm
because
maybe I'm wrong.
Now, because now you want to pick and choose what lies they tell. Women, when it comes to women and men, women do it all the time. How many men out here got kids they believe is theirs when it's really not? Because the women be lying. Listen, these women be doing a lot of stuff that's
I'm
just
a woman.
crazy.
Trust me, I know exactly what women do. I
Yeah,
can say what they
like-
do and they don't. I'm not
and
doing
that
a double
don't have no
standard,
color
But
on
I
it.
do say that
We ain't gonna say everything is about color.
I'm
We're not gonna do
saying-
that with every situation.
I'm saying, to me, in my opinion, coming from me, I feel as though when the media makes certain things look certain ways, and even if when our brothers
Well, the
choose
media,
certain
yes.
ways, that's what I just said when I
The
preferenced it.
media make
It's-
stuff look however they want to make it.
Yeah, and as her being a white
But
woman,
The reality is all women
Go ahead.
Do it.
All women don't do it. But a lot of women do it, but all women means that's 100%.
Well, no, not all women, but I'm
Right.
just saying. What I'm saying is, a lot of these accusations that have been made, a lot of lies that have been told on men, it is not all from one culture of women.
Not at all. That's why I mentioned that.
Yeah.
That
It's not
that
one
law
culture of
came
women
up-
that's doing this. Yeah.
That law came up because of the battered women syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
and there was no color on it. I gave a different comment on her being a white woman and how the media and how people are going to put color on this situation.
So
no matter which way you look at
So
it.
I see that side. However, I believe now it's a little different. Back then, maybe. Now, not so much. Because of this whole cancel culture, identity kind of claiming situation that we're in right now, that the world is in right now. Literally, it's don't blame the victim, right? Literally is believe the victim if they say something, and
Right.
that has been amplified, right?
Okay.
And so, by way of a woman, any woman at this point, to Stacey's point, it don't matter what color you are. Like a woman can literally say, he did X, Y, and Z to me, and it's over.
And
And they're gonna yield to the
and
woman.
I'm not negating nor refuting that. That's
No.
not my debate.
I
We're
know.
all saying the same thing, but
Yeah.
I'm saying that the way that this
100%.
this isn't Johnny Depp going against what his woman and him. It was looked at because that's a white couple.
Yeah, you're talking about how the media spins
I'm-
things.
Media,
Yeah.
Americans, yes, it's going to be looked at in a different eye based on him being a black man, her being a white woman, and her making accusations that weren't true. Tends to what I said about Emmett Till. That's it.
Yeah, 100%.
Well,
Nah,
they did say that. Well, I don't know how. She is white, so I don't know if the neck injuries were visible, or they just took her word for it. But if they were visible, then
And I'm also just a preference. I don't know if he did it.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
We don't. Yeah, we don't
That's
know.
You don't
Yeah,
know.
we
I don't
don't
know if he put his hands. I'm not even taking up for him. You know,
Right,
I'm
right.
just
Gotcha.
saying
Right.
on,
But then you have some. I watched the bloggers too because I want to know what they got to say about it too. And there was a
As you
black
should.
male blogger. I'm not going to name any names, but he said basically, this is what you get for black actors who date outside their race.
Not just
And-
actors, because athletes be getting it too. A
Athletes
lot.
too. But he's like, this is what you get.
But see, you said outside their race. That's what I'm saying. People are looking at it as a black and white thing. Now, if it was a black man and a black woman, would that blogger have made that comment? No.
I would have made that comment.
He
Well,
said
he-
out
he-
of his
I know,
race.
I know.
That-
No, yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
say it if you
No,
hate in your
no,
race.
true.
But people are going to look at it to say, and domestic violence has no color, just like a bullet has no. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And
it's-
that's true.
yeah,
That's
the
true.
statistics are higher with black women.
Yeah.
And then
but-
he also talked about how the media wants to cancel black men who have money, and talking about and I'm not talking about guilty or not guilty, but they were running down names like Bill Cosby and regardless of
so.
guilt or not.
Don't say Ark.
Nah, they definitely left him out.
No, but no, you're right. You're right,
left
and
him out.
I think he's right. But just what's frustrating to me is that it's so lopsided. It's so lopsided, and to the point of something that you said in battered women syndrome, which is so outdated. But you know how many black men get battered on every day? Every day, but they can't even say anything by way of their peers calling them, "Oh, you a simp, don't." You know what I mean? Don't you supposed to be tough enough to utilize it? Like you can get beat up. Then you got the women. You're not man enough to take this. I'm a girl. You can't. I mean,
That blogger did say that he should have just, because he's so much bigger and this is a woman, he should have just took it on the chin.
Real
See?
quick,
That's what the
See?
blogger said.
my son was getting scratched up by his girlfriend. His sister was like, "Mom, this is getting out of hand." I told her mother and her off and was ready for it because he wasn't going to do nothing. He didn't put his hands on her. He didn't sound like he, because I guess that's how he was raised. And also to what
Exactly.
your point
Right.
of saying you're a simp and stuff, you don't have to worry because soon as I found out, Just like I would want that man to stick up for me in regards to my brothers, like, yo, you're not gonna put your hands on my sister is what I did. But you're right. It's definitely a double standard when it happens and bad men go through that.
That's right.
And they don't have the resources like
And
we
you know
do as
who?
women.
And you know who can? This whole culture. You know who can stop this or start being more of an advocate? Black women.
Yeah.
Black women, and I gotta give Stacey flowers with this because for the most part, she
Y'all know me.
get it
All the time.
She get it, and a lot of times I grit my teeth because I'm like, if I was to say something, it's so lopsided. But the only people who can stop this nonsense is black women.
Well,
you
there's
know
some
how
black women out there that's just like, look, you chose that.
Nah, but see, that's not. But that no, but
No.
to a
Just
degree, I get that
saying.
though, because I don't want to take that away. Because for me, I'm like, why is so many black women out there? Why would? But okay, one can say you love who you love, all right, but that's not the conversation, right? But what I will say is. Just how black women are hard on men when it comes to protect these sisters and men need to be holding their friends accountable. It's the same thing with y'all.
Agreed.
Same thing with y'all. So that's why I never say just men, just women. It's the community. We talk weekly. We have to do this thing together.
I'm a feminist, and I love women. I'm a woman, and I love lifting women up and encouraging women, and inspiring them and motivating them, and that whole sisterhood and camaraderie, right? But right is right, and wrong is wrong.
I was just
You know what I
gonna
mean?
say.
And it doesn't matter that I am a part of this species, but I know, I see too much, and a lot of it is just not fair. You know what I mean? And I don't like it. I don't feel like it's fair. And a lot of times, because we are women, because we are mothers, because we are, when it comes to law enforcement or the judicial system, they yield to us, and it's like, okay, because what it is, protecting the woman and the children. But one of the things for all these celebrities and all of these black men with money, like you said, Lauren, please understand that when you get to a certain status and you become a certain thing, that some of that drama and some of that toxicity that you're associated with, you got to kind of leave it behind, because one little thing could snatch your whole career away. You know what I'm saying? So, and you got these women out here that are jealous and vindictive, and I'm gonna say this just because because you pissed her off, and now 2 seconds later she in love again, but you done messed up his whole world. Now he ain't. You just blew up something for what? Like, because you in your feelings. Like, women, man up. That's what I'm gonna say to y'all.
Oh
Yes.
gosh, they gonna come at your neck. Feminists gonna come at your neck.
Because you got to put your feelings aside and just grow up at some point. You can't treat every situation like that. Yeah, we be in our feelings. Our feelings is hurt, but you can't tear another person down because your feelings are hurt.
Yeah, put your big girl panties on. All right, the Celebrity Sizzle Award of the week goes to the Major League Baseball MLB 2023 The Show. They have brought new storylines modes to its video games, with season 1 featuring the Negro Leagues. The Negro League storylines are a tribute to baseball legends like Jackie Robinson, Hank Thompson, Leroy Page, and 4 others. The MLB The Show has been around since 2006, but this year they partnered with the San Diego studio and the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. So MLB The Show Negro Leagues will allow players to play their favorite teams with real players from the past and the present. According to MLB The Show, users will experience an entertaining narrative journey through short informational videos, followed by gameplay reflecting important moments in the player's career. So the Negro Leagues Museum Baseball president Bob Kendrick, who is working to preserve the legacy of the Negro Leagues, will be narrating the videos. And Bob Kendrick said, for the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, this is all about creating relevancy. How do I and with the ever-changing generation of young people. I can't sit back and wait for them to come to me at the doors of the museum. I have to get them in the mode of which they are getting information. If it's a video game, then so be it. So kudos to this amazing partnership for incorporating a Black history informational vibe to gaming. So this is just awesome.
Nice.
The level of racism that's spewed through online gaming is astronomical. So it's great to see some inclusivity and positivity in this. And I can attest to that, like literally, because I've heard my son on the games and he's been called the N-word. I even had a conversation with him where he has I don't know, he gonna be mad at me putting his business out, but he has a white friend that he plays the game with. Online, they get on there and you know, they know each other. They kind of, I guess, get in a group to play games together. But the white friend, my son claims, is affectionately calling him the N-word. I have a huge problem with that.
My ninja, what's up, my ninja? No,
Yeah.
they trying to slide it in. And
That's what I'm telling him. And I'm like, if he's saying it angrily, you know, angry at other players that are Black, but he's saying it nicely to you because you're his friend on the game. How is that? I said, what? He's like, no, Mom, he don't
ain't no
mean it
knock.
like that. He's cool. No,
he
he's
shouldn't-
not.
No, he should be like, no, don't use that. Don't use that.
Yeah, exactly. I said, if he does not see a problem with it calling you that affectionately, then that's not your friend. I'm just
He'll
saying.
get it. He'll grow.
I know.
He'll get it.
I'm off my soapbox.
No, it's all right to be on your soapbox.
I'm your girl Lauren Sizzle, and that was the Sizzle.
And that was the sizzle, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your boy Charles Gregory, the beautiful,
Lauren Sizzle.
and the beautiful,
Classy Lady
and the
Sparkle.
beautiful.
Lady Estizzle.
And this is We Talk Weeklies After the Talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies After the Talk. And we got about 9 minutes left. Good show. We have to, you know, something else that Miss Cass said, the intentionality of things. We got to be intentional when it comes to what we're saying. It's no being passive aggressive about it. It's what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And be willing to take, you know, or have those uncomfortable conversations to say that, all right, well, I don't like this and this is the reason because, you know, if you constantly just be a yes man, or in contrast, no, I don't want to hear nothing. You know, you're wrong. You can't get anywhere. Can't get anywhere. You have to have the uncomfortable conversations to move forward in your thinking, whether you agree or not. But you can't not have a conversation to move forward. You're constantly will be running in place.
Perspective and
Yes.
understanding.
Everything.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't agree, it's like to try to see someone else's perspective. You know what I mean? Because culturally, it is what it is. Like certain people, you know, I worked at CHOP. I was a program director there. And there was things that they had to teach us that when we had like Muslims come in, they didn't want men doctors or hugging everyone. You just can't treat everybody the way you want to be treated. You know how they say, oh, treat others like the way you want to be treated? No. Culturally, you can't do that. So you have to, you know, get an understanding and get teaching about what perspectives are from a cultural, from, you know, community understanding to see where that person is coming from. And like you said, see if you just agree to disagree, then that's all right too. But definitely to get an understanding is what the walk away is or the takeaway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we got to do better. We have to do better. There's no question about it. And we have to hold each other accountable. Like, it's all right to, you don't have to be mean or nasty about it. If you see one of your friends or someone that's doing some things that you feel isn't on the agenda of being positive, so to speak, then it's all right to be like, oh, like that was a little... Or like, how can we do something different? It's a way to say it, you know. I think people have this thing with being unapologetically blunt sometimes, and everyone is different. Some people can take that, some people can't. So you have to, is a term called fill the room. Fill out
Yeah, I
the
was
room.
about to just say know your audience. Yep, I was
know
about
your
to say
audience.
that.
Yeah. And so if someone is saying that what you're doing is being a little too harsh, you suppose, okay, you need to be able to pivot a little bit. Okay, so this is what I mean. I apologize for that. So let me walk you through how I'm feeling then. You know, some people can be like, yo, I don't like that. Stop. Yeah, you right. I'm gonna stop. Right. Everyone isn't the same and everyone doesn't respond the same. And so know your audience and understand that everyone isn't a monolith and people are different. So you have to address them differently. The screw won't fit every screw, right? It won't fit.
And the things that people are doing everybody's not doing it for the same reason. So like,
Exactly.
even when you just said, if you see somebody doing something, and it's the way you say it to them, I mean, they could be doing it simply because they don't know any better.
That's right.
Or they could be doing it because it's like, listen, I had a bad day. I lost myself for a minute. You right. I'm tripping. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it is definitely worth pulling your brother and then sister in the
right.
side and say, hey, even just checking on them, because you don't know what they may be going through or why they did, you know. So, you know, have that conversation and the compassion. You know what I mean?
There you go,
And
compassion.
you know, check on people and are you okay? And like they say, check on your strong friends. You know what I mean? Because you never know what people are going through.
Yeah. It's something that they use. It's called grace. Give people some grace. Some people, no one is perfect. The only perfect person is God. You know. So is when you think of perfection, that's the only thing that's perfect, right? So people make mistakes, right? And so if they apologize, if they come to you, whatever, allow them that space to, you know, apologize. Some people just like, no. Some people just literally, you know, sometimes need a space to say, you know what, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I apologize, right? But what's happening is people are making these mistakes. Even our white counterparts slip of the tongue, right? Sometimes you gotta say, all right, well, what was the situation there, right? Have you ever heard them say that before? You know, and process what's going on. Sometimes it's just a mistake, and I get it. Everyone isn't perfect, and allow people to have that space to be apologetic to you if they make those mistakes. Yeah, and I'll leave it there. For sure.
How much time we got left?
We got about 3 minutes.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Love and relationship.
Oh, no, she didn't. Oh, no, she didn't.
No, this is just all right. Just a quick, question.
We just did a whole segment on love and relationships. About
Yeah.
them.
Oh yeah, that was like a whole love and relationship. Yeah. So I just had a question. Sierra, she got a lot of backlash for her Oscars after party dress.
Yeah, I heard
What's
about
your
that.
thoughts on that? Because people were like, "What with Russell Wilson?" Like, they were coming at his neck. Like,
I say mind your business. I'm with my husband. I can see if I'm out here like this without him, but I'm with him. We good.
right? What you think, Swart?
I think that if she left the house like that and she felt comfortable and he did too, I mean, then it was all good.
What about you, C?
What she said.
Boom.
I mean, if he, and I don't want to use the word simp, but if he's, I hate that word, but if he, if that's the person that she married and he was okay with how she is, then you really can't say nothing to it. Say nothing about it. It would just wouldn't be me,
Why wouldn't it be you? Why?
First of all, I'm Muslim, right? So I wouldn't.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I
Culturally.
Aside from
Call
that.
everybody, everybody's different.
Everybody different.
we
So
say
I wouldn't.
culturally.
No, you're not. Nah, you're not dressing like. Nah, I'm sorry. It ain't going down. So but again, like if I married someone, whether Muslim or not, right?
Okay.
If I fell in love with somebody who does that, and I was okay when I met her like that, then I can't say nothing when she, continues to do it. That's what I did. That's my bad. That's how I feel. When somebody say I'm in love with a stripper, if you fell in love with a stripper, then
Wow.
don't get mad if she continued to strip after you fell in love with her.
I mean, I think it's one of the conversations up front that you have. Like, if this is something that you're okay with when we're in it, then don't switch up. But if that's something you're not okay with,
Then you shouldn't be with her in
then
the first place.
that's a line that, that you got to say, hey, I'm not okay with it, and you may not be able to have that future.
And that's your bad. Like, I feel like that. That's your bad. If you can't get into it and change somebody once you get into it. That's who they are. Like, if they change later and be like, you know what, baby, I don't want to strip no more, or I don't want to wear these revealing clothes, or I don't want to do X, Y, and Z, then that's cool. You get them the space and the grace to do that. But you can't go. I don't believe in going into a relationship and now all of a sudden, I don't want you doing this. Now you can't do it no more. Like, nah, what part of the game is that? I mean, that's me, though.
So what's the difference of her having a bikini on the beach with a bunch of people looking at her?
Right.
That's it.
I mean,
Everybody on the planet have a bikini on that's at the beach.
Right. So my thing, I mean, when I'm like,
it's
I'm like,
she
oh,
was
what's the
at-
big deal?
Right.
Because if you was on the beach and you had a cover up on like that, it would be okay.
They're not at the beach. That's the problem. They're not at the beach.
But that's not.
But my point is, when
I
you at
see
the
your
beach, it's
point.
still a million people. You're
Right.
still out in
Looking
public
at
and a
you.
bunch of
Still
people looking
being
at you.
seen.
You're still being
what-
seen.
yeah, your
It's not a
body
private
is
place.
still not- it's not as revealing on the beach versus in the Oscar.
But the context is different. We gotta
But that
understand.
shouldn't matter.
It has to matter.
Why?
Like, because that's the context.
Well, because
The
everybody's saying she's wearing something that's
Revealing.
The whole point is she's out dressed like this in public. But if she was dressed like this at a beach, it's still a
I'm
public
more-
place.
But I'm-
that's only part of it. That's only
Okay,
part of
because
it.
I'm going towards just more of what you just said. Like, I'm like, if you're looking at her body and you're seeing too much, if she was at the beach, it wouldn't be too much because everybody else
Everybody else is
naked.
naked.
The problem is
what's the problem? 'Cause she's the only one that's
what
naked.
if she? It's not the if. It's what it is. It's not the what if she was what like, if was a fifth, we'd be all messed up.
No,
right?
so I'm not saying
if.
if. I'm not saying if. What I'm saying is
Right.
what she was wearing. She still has a bunch of people looking at her. If she would have worn,
I see what you're
if she would have worn a bikini to the same event, what would have been
All
the
right.
big deal?
So the question is this, right? How do you a lot of what
Because everybody's seeing
You're
her.
saying like if she had tapestries on the beach, that's like, oh, that's too revealing, even though you're on the beach.
It's-
So
it's-
for
yeah.
her to wear that at the Oscars, it's like the tapestries, your whole, you know what I mean? So what you're saying is it was just as if you
She's
wore
naked
the,
in public all the time. So
Right,
why?
if you
What's the
wore it
difference?
to the
But
beach,
that's the-
it's the
And I'm not
same
talking about
thing.
the beach, but I'm talking about you. I mean,
There's nothing we're
videos
seeing
on
more that we
TV,
haven't seen before.
and magazines. Like she's like this on her Instagram.
See, that's
She's
the
like
thing.
this everywhere.
That's the thing. That's why it is what it is. Like, that's why there's no reason to be upset, because if that's her, that's just her. What I'm saying is, I think the problem that, because I mean, I didn't pay any attention to. I'm not necessarily a Sierra fan, so I don't pay attention to like the noise, right? But I think the problem is in keeping in context with what the problem that you're mentioning is as it relates to being on a beach.
Everybody's like, oh, why is she dressed like that?
She's not on the beach, so the intention in being on the beach ain't, oh, everybody. I guess some people
They were
might
saying
think that
she's a
everybody's gonna
mom
look.
and a wife.
Yeah, that's why I ain't want to put that, because I don't want to.
And you mad
mean,
because
your
you're a mom
mama-
and your wife, and
Yeah.
you don't look like that?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Sierra got a banging body.
Hey,
You
she
see what I'm
look
saying?
gorgeous.
She's a beautiful woman. I again, I don't want to speak for everybody. I'm just saying that I think the problem is
Okay,
the intentions. If you're comparing beach versus an award, like an awards or a party, it's because I think it was a party.
Right.
So it's
So
completely
if a man came
different.
with a
But can
Speedo
I-
to the beach, it's okay. But if he wore his Speedo,
No.
and
100%.
sitting in
I'm
the-
not, so
100%.
So since y'all like to
See-through
colorize,
Speedo with
everything, because there are images of two other white women at same event in the same type of dress,
Same thing.
and nobody's talking about
They
them.
always
Same
do
thing.
that to us.
I feel the same way.
So I mean,
The only.
But that's my point about what the media sees. Not that I was refuting
Yeah.
against the interracial couple. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've seen a
Not
lot
that
of
I
those.
was in
It's-
a.
I've
It
seen
was
a lot of
just.
them.
It's just that when it's us, or when it's like it's the conversation changes.
Not-
Yeah.
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 Is it cover up in
gotta-
a bikini on?
it's exactly.
I got to give credence to that. But what I will say, however, is I felt the same way with. Honestly, I was less concerned about the revealing part, but more concerned about how tacky it looked. Like it looked cheap. Like the
Your
gown looked.
fashion.
You know what I mean? So I was
design,
just like, that's. I mean, then you have, they try to compare her with Beyonce, and you look at Beyonce dress, it's like, oh, That looks pretty
This is
cool.
one from a different
Hers,
year.
It looks
She
like
does it all the time.
She got from the corner or something like that. I'm gonna just say, she's allowed to do whatever she want to do because she if that's what she does, you have to accept what she does. I think men was looking at it like outside of that she's a mom and she has a family, but he was fully dressed, right? And so if you look at the context of y'all going somewhere together, you kind of should mirror each other a little bit, right? So she literally had nothing on, and he had a full kind of like tuxedo on or something close to it. It's kind of like, yo, that looks weird.
Just
Well,
always
y'all
come
don't
for him.
wear.
It just
always
look,
come for
yeah, they
him.
come for. Yeah. But anyway, if he like it, I love it. You know, and it's
Haters
just
gonna
that.
hate.
All right, we gotta go. We've been talking. All right, y'all, we out here like last year, man.
Peace.